everyone, hope you're doing well. Another week of learning at home. This video is going to talk you through the week 3 China work that I set on Google Classroom. Please do make sure you've looked at all the materials that are under the topic. By topic, that's one where it says week beginning and the date, okay? So, this week you've got some activities to do with differences and inequalities in China. We've looked at culture and traditions and what China's like. We're now starting to explore, well, why are there some difficulties in China or some problems? The first lesson that you have on the sheet should start with 4 pictures. And I want you to think about what are the differences between those pictures. Do they all look the same? Would you have the same kind of living in that space? Would you be happier in one or the other? What's different? What's good? What's not so good? So have a little think about that. And remember, where you see something highlighted in yellow, that's where I need you to write an answer below the question, okay? So if you see something in yellow, try and do something. What I would like to say at this point is, some of you have been trying really hard to do as much work as you can. All I ask is that if you've got lots of work at home, you talk to me and tell me what you have managed to do. So if this week you managed lesson 1, you got stuck on lesson 2 but you've tried it and you've done half of lesson 3, just write that on the book before you hand it in, okay? Just write that there and I'll know that you've tried your best. So, looking through the booklet, and I'm just checking mine because I've got it on the computer in front of me. I didn't want to put this up on the screen like a screen share because I think it might have just been confusing. I just wanted you to you can play my voice in the background as you look through this. And of course, pause the video at any time. So you're going to look at rural and urban China. I'm not going to spoil it, but you need to know the difference between those words, rural and urban. Some of you will have looked at this in geography, some of you will know it already, and for some this is brand new. But going forward in this unit, we are going to talk about rural and urban China a lot, so it's really important that you get those the correct way round. So if you need to take some time to get it into your head, to put it in the right way, that's not a problem. If you want to draw pictures or symbols, go for it. You'll also see a graph there. Now, don't panic. Lots of us panic when we see graphs. We think, oh, numeracy, no. We are using a little bit of numeracy today. All I want you to do is take your time and look at the graph and tell me something about it. So, in what year did most people move? Or were there more people in China? The light blue bit that you'll see on the bottom, that tells us who's in urban areas. So think, you've just learned what rural and urban means. The light blue, is that number getting bigger or smaller over the years or staying the same? The dark blue bits tell us how many people are staying in rural areas. Are there more in rural? Less? Can you think why that might be? Is it staying the same? Are they both equal? Is there more in rural than urban? Or more than urban than rural? You then have a little bit about migration. Now, migration is about the movement of people. What we find in China is that lots of people don't actually like where they live. They're not happy. They want to have a better life. It might be they want to have a better life for themselves, or their children, or their families. So they migrate, they move. On the sheet, you have a list of items. These are push or pull. The easiest way to remember this, and if we were in class, I would be standing up and doing some silly actions, so you'll just have to imagine. A push factor is something pushing you away from where you currently are. So you want to leave it behind, you want to push it out of your way and get away from it. So a push factor might be, oh, I don't have a good job here and I want to leave it, or my house is really horrible and I want to leave it. Hopefully that makes sense. So a push factor, you want to push it away and get as far away from it as you can. The opposite is a pull factor. Now a pull factor is something that is attracting you to a new place. It is pulling you in. It is tempting you and going, oh, look how amazing this new city is. Or it is pulling you and going, look at the great weather we have. If you think about yourself and what would make you move from Aberdeen in the future when you're much older, would it be a push factor or a pull? For me personally, if I was to move, it would probably be for pull factors. For example, I might move to Australia because the weather is much better and I want lots more sun. Or it might be that a pull factor is you've got family in another city or another country and you'd like to spend more time with them. So that's a pull factor. Make sure you understand those and sort the two words into the boxes there. I'm going to pause here because the rest of this video is going to talk you through lesson 2 and lesson 3 this week. So if you're just on lesson 1, feel free to keep watching if you want to watch it all in one go, or come back and visit this when you need it for lesson 2. So, lesson 2 is exaggeration skills. I know these are not your favourite, but it's really important that we have a look at them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give a quick guide for those who did exaggeration skills last year. So with me or Miss Gimpu in S2. If you did not do them, it's okay. I'm going to, once I've done the intro bit for those who have done them as a refresher, I'll give you a little bit more detail, okay? So please keep watching the video and I'll explain. For those doing it that have done it before, you're going to use the same format to find exaggeration in sources. The sources I've given you are on the Google Slides, so you'll have to open those slides now. If you want to put that in a different document so that you can crop it or make it bigger or smaller or draw symbols around it, that's okay, please do that. Remember, exaggeration is making something bigger or worse than it actually is. And if you look at the document that I've assigned to you, you should see that there's little bits with a green highlight that give you the structure. So-and-so is exaggerating when they say blah, blah, blah. This is because the source tells me blah, 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 okay? I want you to give that a go. I have given you a couple of options. There is a level 3 and there's also a level 4 option. I don't mind which one you do. I'm not going to be mad if you pick a level 3 or 4. This is genuinely to give you the choice, but it also lets me see where you feel comfortable. If you attempt the level 4 and get stuck, send me what you've done, because that'll let me see, okay, you're trying level 4, okay, which remember is what we really want you to be doing by the end of this year, so that would be brilliant. You're trying level 4, but you got stuck. Right, where did you get stuck? Where can Miss Smith help? So please, please, even if you make mistakes and get stuck, send me what you have done, because that way I can help you. For those who are confident with exaggeration skills, feel free to skip forward this video to take you to the Olympics lesson, which is your 3rd lesson for this week. I'll put a little title up so you can see. If you're not confident with exaggeration or have no idea what I'm talking about, keep watching this bit. So, exaggeration, when you make something bigger or better or worse or more horrible than it actually is. It's like saying you've been fishing. Weird example, I know, but it's the easiest way. I've been fishing. And you say, I caught a fish this big, and you outstretch your arms. Really, you caught a fish that big. It was quite big, but you're exaggerating. You're making it bigger or worse. You might say something like, oh my gosh, I have lost my Snapchat streak and this is absolutely the worst day of my life. What am I going to do? Now, it's probably not the worst day of your life. It's pretty upsetting losing your Snapchat streak, I know. But it's not the worst thing that's ever happened. You're exaggerating, you're making it sound worse. What you'll see on the slides are some examples of questions. Don't panic when you look at them. You'll see 2 sources. One is usually a written source, so a little bit of information, and one is a graph or a pie chart or a table. What I would do is take a little bit of time to read those. So pause this video and go and have a look at the first sources that you have. Okay, you're back, great. You'll also see that there's a quote from someone and it says the view of, so the view of David, the view of Beth, the view of Sarah, okay? That quote, at the moment, we do not know if that is correct or if it's wrong. The sources above, so where it says source 1 and source 2, believe that they are true, okay? We're not proving those. We take that as, yep, that is a source, therefore that is correct, that is true, I know that is correct, okay? The bit we need to look at is the quote, so the view of. So let's say it's the view of David. What does David say? So just read this statement David says, or whoever the character is. Right. Is that true or false? Have a think. Is it a little bit of both? You might be thinking, yeah, because source 1 says that's right, but source 2 says that bit's wrong. That's where we find our exaggeration. That's where we find the bit that we are looking for. So on the assignment, the actual document I've given you, if you scroll down, you'll see structure, and it says name is exaggerating when they say. So what we put in there is the information we have. So David is exaggerating when they say, I caught a fish 3 meters long. Okay? Because you're like, no, he didn't. Now, how do you know? Prove to me that you can tell you know. Okay, I know this because source 1 or source 2, whichever one it is, tells us that the biggest fish caught that day was 1 meter long. Rewind and replay that if you need, have a think. So you know David is telling a porcupine. He's lying. Does that make sense? I'm hoping so. I will be doing a live session during the week, so you can ask me if you're unsure. What I would say is give it your best go with what it's asking you. If you get stuck, just let me know where you got up to, because we'll do more work on these skills questions through the year. I hope that helps a little bit. I've given you some examples, so give it a go and let me know how it goes. Lesson number 3 this week, we are looking at the Olympics. Now, we were actually meant to have the Olympics this year in Tokyo, Japan, but due to coronavirus, it has been postponed. It's just messing up everything. What we're going to look at today is the 2008 Olympics, because that was hosted in China. Now, I've included some video links throughout the assignment. You don't have to watch them, but I know for some of you this might be something you're really interested in, so do feel free to dip in and have a look, watch the opening ceremony and some of the things that happened. The key things you need to take away are the negative things that happened at the Olympics. So China hosted these for the very first time, and it was really successful. The world came in, it looked amazing, they made lots of money for the economy, so that means they can spend money on things to help people. However, they were a little bit sneaky with some things. For example, in the rural areas, remember what kind of area that is, in the rural areas, they were finding that actually they needed the land to build new stadiums to host the games, so people were being moved out of their houses and they weren't getting money for that, so they were really poor and homeless. We also found what happened was that there were human rights issues. China has a big human rights problem. They were really worried that other countries in the world were going to come over and they were going to look at China and go, oh my gosh, what are you doing? That's horrible. We don't want to buy and sell with you anymore. So China tried to stop people protesting. It made it really difficult for people to speak freely, and they had really, really tight controls on journalists. So journalists working for TV stations or newspapers could only say certain things, and they could only speak to athletes at certain times of the day. It was really, really strict. Another issue was pressure on the athletes. China likes to win. China does not like to lose. So there was so much pressure put on athletes, some of whom we think were under 16. Now, there's no proof for that, but if you look at the photo I've included, I'm sure you can have a think of what your opinion is on that. And the last issue was pollution. China is already a hugely polluted country. We'll do a lesson on this in a couple of weeks' time. Beijing, where the Olympics is held, is one of the most polluted cities in the world. So the photo you see there, it isn't fog or har, like we have the har or the fog that comes in from the sea. That's actually smog. Now, smog is actually something that's not good for you. If you've got asthma or breathing difficulties, it can make your chest really tight and can be really, really painful. I would like you to have a look through that, and then you're going to write a letter to the President of China. I say write a letter. If you would like to do it as a news report, so a video like this, you can. If you would like to type notes on it and then read it out, you can. You can record a voice note, so not with a video, just your voice, and send it, or you can write it. You can write it on paper, you can make a newspaper article, you can do it on a Google Doc, a Google slide. I don't mind, honestly, it is over to you. But you have to choose. A, are you going to write about asking for the right to report freely and fairly as a journalist? What that means is your letter's focus will be on asking for journalists to be able to do their job without being stopped. Why should journalists be able to do that? Why is it important that journalists are not stopped in doing their job? Have a think about that. The second option, you do one of these. The second option is the letter focuses on having access to launch a free and fair protest. So you want to protest something. What might you be protesting and why? Why should the president allow you to do that protest? Why is that not going to be a horrible thing? Will it be violent or will it be nice and calm? Is it important that you get your freedom of speech and your right to freedom of speech over, putting a good image out of China? You'll also see at the bottom the opening ceremony link. Feel free to have a watch. I do know you've got lots of work, so if it's a bit much, that's fine. I hope this has been a helpful video. I would really appreciate feedback on the video, so if you've made it this far, if you can leave a comment under it on the Google Classroom or email me to let me know if you're using them or not, because I'm happy to make them and I don't mind, but obviously they do take a little bit of time to put together. If there is a different way I could do this that would help you, please let me know. I'm asking for feedback. Give me feedback. I'll check in with you all later this week. If you've got questions, email me or comment on Google Classroom or send me a message. I'm more than happy to help. All I want is you to try your best. So enjoy this week, give it a go, and I'll speak to you soon.